I actually debated whether I was going to even contact and talk about this one, man, but I figured I should because everybody else is doing it. And I think it's important that I at least put the piece out because I did talk about the fight. Okay, Bumlanga and Steve Rolls, you heard me in the preview. If you listened to it, and if you didn't, you should. You heard me call the dude Bumlanga. And if you're a fan of the dude, that's cool. And I like I said, he's got a look, he's got the but there again, I'm sorry. There's a reason I call him Bumlanga. And it's not because I think he's a bum. I don't think he's a bum at all. I think he's a bum beater. He's one that, it's eye test. He looks good against certain competition. I said that he should not have any trouble taking care of Steve Rolls. And Steve Rolls came out and said, look, I've only ever lost to Triple G. And that's true. The downside of that statement is that Steve Rolls, if you look at his resume, you can't have name anybody he's really fought other than Triple G. So when we look at the totality of that statement he said, it's actually a indictment on Bumlanga that Bumlanga just got taken the distance by Steve Rolls. Not only taking the distance, but you could make a case he dropped 5 rounds to this guy. Now, listen, I'm not saying at all that Bumlanga is not, an explosive fighter or any of that, but there was no explosives to be had in this fight. And we can try to big up Rolls now after the fact. I straight up, everybody online was trashing Steve Rolls when Golovkin was going to fight him and then trashed him again after Golovkin beat him. So now we should continue trashing Rolls. If that's the case, we should trash Rolls. And it looks even worse for Bumlanga for getting taken the distance by this guy when Bumlanga has been hyped as this massive knockout artist. I also said that, we had the bicep with Kosiris and all that other stuff. We can't use the bicep injury as an excuse. If he comes out and says, yeah, my bicep, deep, we got to kind of call that out and say, no, dude, the truth is you were made to look basic average by this guy. Some people didn't even think you won. I kind of tuned in and tuned out. I wasn't really following it nearly as well as I followed Rocha and Cobbs, but I tuned in, tuned out because I suspected Bumlanga would win. I just didn't expect that he would drop that many rounds to this dude, Steve Rolls. Like it almost is unthinkable. And I'm not a fan of Bumlanga at all, but I figured he should be able to deal with Steve Rolls, not dismissing Steve Rolls, but based on the hype, based on what everybody says of Bumlanga, he should have easily. They said this guy should be able to deal with Canelo. Like, this is what I'm saying. The hype was unreal for this dude. And the reason people are so dissatisfied on social media has nothing to do with that performance and everything to do with the hype you guys put on him. You put too much hype on him. You hyped him before he was ready. The Kosiris fight told you you're overhyping him. So you got your expectations too damn high. That's the problem. You're not willing to even recognize, okay, that performance wasn't that good. So because that wasn't that good, we need to say, pump the brakes. And Steve Rolls might give him a 50-50, and that was what it was. He gave him a 50-50 performance. We should not have seen a 50-50 performance if Bumlanga is really as good as everybody hyped him up to be. That's the problem of what I saw. Now, I want to call out real quick, and I'll wrap this up. Won't take long. Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley saying basically, he's not the chosen one. He's the phony one. Bradley is known for talking all kind of crap against fighters, but he's never done that against somebody like Bumlanga has been hyped. I'm talking hyped by the networks, by everybody. They've been hyped, crazy hyped, just like Benavidez. Some of these guys, they just get hyped to the moon. And then something like this happens, and then they backtrack off of it. Like if you go and listen to my coverage with Rocha and Cobbs, I'm talking the preview, I said I expect that Cobbs should be able to take this dude out. However, Rocha is a very crafty boxer, so he could pull it out. What I didn't expect is Rocha to basically just turn up like that. But I never dismissed Rocha's chance. I just said, I don't think that Rocha's going to be able to get a stoppage like that. I don't see it. And I would expect Cobbs to be able to get it done, but who knows because of the way Rocha is. Like, you're acknowledging both sides. Here, it's like everybody expected, and so did I, that Bumlanga is going to be able to take this dude out in short order, but they're basing that on all these past knockouts against, C-level fighters. So now we have to question, is it that Steve Rolls is that good, or is it that Bumlanga is really not that good? I suspect Bumlanga is a good fighter, but I also think that he's limited. I think that he's flawed. I think that he has issues in his game. Just like Blair Cobbs, there's issues in the game. The difference between the two, though, with Cobbs, I don't see the same level of issue I saw against with Bumlanga. Bumlanga's still winning, but it's like he's normal now. Ever since Co-Series, he's normal. He's just a guy. Whereas Cobbs, even though he got blitzed, he was still swinging. He was still throwing. He was still fighting. He was still ducking and dodging and trying. He was just outmatched. So it was never at a situation where I looked like, okay, this guy just doesn't look like he's in there. He looked like he was in there. He just got out blitzed by this guy. Bumlanga, you're dealing with a tentative opponent in front of you, and you can't get him out of there in Steve Rolls. Seriously? And you've been hyped to the moon as this major danger knockout artist that everybody's ducking, and you can't get this guy out of there. It's not about Rolls, because I know some of you go there. It's not about Rolls. It's about the way Bumlanga has been hyped. That's the focus. He has been hyped as a major knockout artist, a killer that's been ducked, and everybody's afraid of him. And this mythical beast, the monster as they call him, can't even, he's not going after this dude, Steve Rolls, to get him out of there, and can't seem to get him out of there. That doesn't mean he didn't land shots. He landed good body work. It was good. But you're not able to get that guy out of there, really, and you're supposed to be this monster, this dominant beast. That's the problem. We're overhyping these guys before they're ready. And that's just hurting them. That's hurting them. It's not doing them any favors. What we should be doing is we should have looked at what happened against Co-Series and say, okay, it's time you need to go back to the books. When Teofimo fought Nakatani and Tim Bradley called out, okay, you need to go do a lot of work. And Andre Ward said, you got to do a lot of work because what you're doing works for Floyd. It doesn't work for you. And Teo went back to the books a little bit. But even then, he still couldn't look that great impressive against Lomachenko, and then eventually takes a loss to CM Punk Cambosos. When we overhype these fighters, we're not doing them a good service. As fans, we need to tell them straight up, dude, you're not ready for this step up because unfortunately, for whatever reason, Steve Rolls was a step up for this guy. And yes, he got his hand raised, but people felt like he shouldn't have. I saw it as a close fight leaning towards Bumlanga, but it was not an impressive win, and it didn't tell us anything about him. It certainly didn't tell us he's ready for the top level. It certainly didn't tell us that he's a top fighter. It told us that he might even be on the decline, for all we know. And we haven't even gauged, we just had 2 fights back to back where we haven't really seen the best of him yet, I argue. So either that's a trainer issue or something, diet, something's not right with him. And that needs to be solved before he gets hurt. Because if he gets in there against somebody that's really dangerous and hungry, he's going to get hurt. And that's not going to be good. I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe guys like Gabe Rosado might campaign similar to the weight, possibly. And if so, Gabe Rosado might hurt his ass. And that would really kill his career. That's not against Gabe. That's, again, he's been hyped. This Bumlanga has been hyped. So he shouldn't be losing to guys like Gabe Rosado if he's really what people hype him to be. That's my point. So Bumlanga gets his hand raised against Steve Rolls, but he certainly didn't look that good doing it. It was not what we expected from the hype online, and hopefully people calm that hype down, come back down to reality, realize, okay, he's just another fighter. He's not in Canelo's class. Very few fighters are, but we got to stop overhyping some of these guys too.